But on my way over here, I was thinking like, because your boy, as you're listening to this episode, we're doing a little family vacation in the Bahamas for a few days before we go to Lincoln, before we go to Nebraska. I know, right? Flex. And I was thinking I have a list of dad tips for all the expecting fathers out there or young dads who might be in the mix. Here are some tips that I've written down since Rue has probably turned like 1 year old, when she can start understanding a little bit more. So probably around that 12 to 14 month range. All right, here we go. The power of the secret. This is a great tip for fathers out there, really parents in general. I'm trying to help my wife out in perfecting this craft. But the minute you can teach them about telling them a secret, like whispering to them, and they're kind of like caught off guard, like, why is dad whispering to me? And I'd be like, Rue, do you want dad to tell you a secret? And she would like come over, she'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, no, you gotta whisper. And she'd be like, okay. And then whatever you want to get them to do, they're all ears. So she might be starting to cry or panic a little bit. This is real life experience, boys. And she's spazzing out. You want her to take off her clothes to get her in her jammies, but she's pissed and run around. She wants to jump. She's got the zoomies. She wants to have fun. You immediately just go to, hey, do you want me to tell you a secret? Come on, Mitch. Like, hey, do you want me to tell you a secret? You'd be like, all right, come here. You got to whisper. You got to stay quiet. And then they lean in and you're like, hey, go over to mommy and take off your clothes for her so we can get you in your jammies. It feels weird that I'm whispering right now on the podcast. But immediately they'll go from freaking out to they are all in on executing the secret. So that is the power of the secret. No matter what, you have to whisper, you have to get them down to your level. And I promise you, they will go from 100 to fully focused and ready to execute whatever that secret may be. That is one in the toolbox for you guys. This is for dads. This is for dads as well. If you're home, do bedtime routine together and ultimately take turns who does story time. Like my wife and I, we do a good job of we do our morning routine together and we do the bedtime routine together. So if I'm somebody who's reading the stories at nighttime, this is not only good for being a dad, this is also good for being a partner, being a husband, is you do the routines together and then you alternate who does story time. So that way, me around my daughter, she's used to seeing your old man, because you never want to get behind the chains. You never want to get behind the sticks to where it's like they're all mom everything. They're all, mom feels like she's just always in the trenches because she's the only one who can handle any type of chaos. Like the baby always wants mom and never dad. This helps you be around at all the moments of the day, whether it's the morning routine, the nighttime routine, all of in between. Also, going off that, eating dinner as a family. Charles, she's done an incredible job of holding us accountable to do dinner as a family. I myself would like to have been lazy at times, and then I'll just, hey, Rue, if I might want her to, in my head, because I'm lazier, will allow her to watch, say, Miss Rachel. And then I would want to go put the food in front of her and allow her to eat and watch TV. That is a massive no that Charles never wanted to do. She always wants her to, hey, no screen, like limit screen time. She gets like around an hour a day of like watching Miss Rachel or watching something, or whether we do movie night on Fridays. And Charles done a great job of making us, or setting the expectation that we do dinner time like as a family. So we make her plate, whatever the wife cooks. Maybe your boy's on one of them factor meals, whatever it is. We're always sitting at the dinner table eating together. And on the dining room table, I would highly recommend Ryan Holiday's Daily Dad. Each time while we're eating, Rue now she even tells dad, she'll be like, dad read, and I'll read whatever the daily word is from the Daily Dad. I highly recommend the Daily Dad from Ryan Holiday. Pizza Friday and movie night. You have your annual traditions for holidays and everything else. I would, your boy, we love to do Pizza Friday and movie night. I've obviously been a big proponent of Pizza Friday. Last week, my no free shout out was Home Team Pizza. That got your boy hooked up with a free pizza and a free 6-piece of those Buckeyes and garlic bites. Pizza Friday and movie night. Rue, every Friday now would be, hey, Rue, you know what day it is? And she'll be like, Pizza Friday, and doing like a weekly little family tradition that gets them fired up. Give them chores. You make them a part of your tribe. This was something I wrote down that I feel like is very good. So after dinner, it'd be like, let Waffle out of the pantry, because we'll make Waffle eat in the pantry. So that way she's not, she loves to eat anything that's dropped on the floor. And sometimes she's gotten some bad shit in her mouth to where she's like drooling or vomiting. So we have to make her eat in the pantry. But one of Rue's chores will be like, let Waffle out of the pantry after dinner time, or any mess Rue makes with her toys, she knows she has to clean it up. Or if you have trash as a parent, dad's great tip. You have trash, you just be like, once you teach them how to go throw the trash away, your trash is now their trash. A great chore for them to do. Interrupt them and tell you love them. That's a sweet little gesture. That's just a nice little breakup. I learned that one on Instagram. Exercise before everyone wakes up so you can be a part of the morning routine. I know myself. I've had a bad week of working out. Meaning it's been non-existent. I haven't worked out this week. But anytime I feel myself in a much better mood, a much better way when I do working out first thing in the morning. So I'll try and work out before Rue wakes up. So that way you're able to be a part of the morning routine. So if you're able to be part of that morning routine, and you gotta, if you don't have to leave for work too early, I base it around all that stuff. Workout, morning routine, then I'll come hang with the boys at the bus. What else do I have? Another little queasy one. I feel actually weird saying this in front of you guys. Love on their mother in front of them. I feel like that's really good, especially for the girl dads out there. You get to set a standard and kind of you should be the role model in front of them for hopefully what they look for one day in a spouse, and not some deadbeat, dysfunctional ass clowns out there. That's it. That's what I got. Another one that I'm just now thinking of that I was using today is going off the power of secret, the power of being like, hey, can I ask you a question? Because sometimes say I'll go home. Right now it's Sunday afternoon. I'll go home. If mom puts her down for her nap, she almost expects mom to be there when she wakes up. Or if she's not wanting dad for some reason to wake up, I'll come in and she'll be like, for whatever reason, they'll just be weirdly fussy that you might be there, or they're just upset when they wake up. You quickly just immediately, hey, Rue, can I ask you 2 questions? And you immediately get their attention. Boom. First one, the one that I always default to. How was your nap? Was it good? Did you have a dream? Or who did you dream about? And they tell you a story, but that gets their levels. If they're fucking weirdly having an episode or just spazzing out for no reason, you simply interject and say, hey, can I ask you 2 questions? And for whatever reason, that makes them feel like, oh, dad needs me for something. Oh, mom needs me for something. So those are my dad tips on my first 2 years of parenting. Hopefully there's dads out there. If you're listening and you're like, oh, he's on some game, or you have another dad tip, drop them in the comments. We'd love to know. We'd love to build this dad club together. But those are my dad tips, boys. Any that you guys might know about from your old man, or something that you might have had as a kid that you're like, hey, this would be a good, any tip of advice, student of the game, I'm always down. JP, I feel like you usually have some. You usually just have some for me, just sometimes just out of the blue. And I'm like, oh, that boy JP hit me.
That one video I sent, oh my gosh.
That's a great one, where it was basically like,
you're here to be memories for your kids.
Yeah, that was a banger.
Which is incredible.
Run the video, Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm better with ages 5 through kind of probably 18.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the young kids, because my fiance, she has some young nieces. I don't know. I have a pretty easy time getting into the mind of a little kid, so I can play the games with them. And it's if you're playing freeze tag, or if they touch you, then you can't move your arm. But then the only way you can move your arm again is if they touch it. So then it comes back to life, and they start freaking out. But I think something probably good because I feel like dads maybe sometimes have a harder time connecting with their kids. It's just you just get on the floor with your kid, and that's where you play, because that's where they're at. And anytime
getting on their level.
Yeah. You go to their level, and I feel like it makes everything easier. I don't have kids, but
yeah, no, you're going to crush. You'll crush it.
Yeah.
You'll crush it too. Dave, I barely know you, but I feel like you'll crush it. But no, for sure. Oh, we got your boy. We'll get you acclimated between that 2 and 5.
Yeah.
Hey, Rue, JP came over yesterday, so we had to shoot this. We had to shoot this stuff for Shell gas station. Shout out, no free shout out. And this morning when Rue woke up, and we're like, what'd you dream about? And she she'll just rattle off everything from her memory.
Right.
Her grandparents, she'll just start. She names everything, and then she'll be like, Jappy, you're Jappy.
Let's go.
And then she'll be like, when we went downstairs and I pushed in the car and we played chase or something like that, and she was like, Jappy. I was like, yeah, you played with Jappy yesterday. And I was like, oh, he's not coming today. He's not coming today.
Dang.
You'll crush it though. We'll get you acclimated between 2 and 5, but you're spot on. And honestly, I feel like when you say dads that can't connect with their kids as well, to me, in my opinion, I feel like it's like just one of those ingrained societal things that's kind of like, dads aren't necessarily in the mix for all the little things that mom does all the time.
Right.
Like I know, like talking to my dad, it seemed like he didn't really change many diapers.
Yeah.
So I knew my mom was always like, she did everything, right? Or if something's going on, it's like, oh, tell your mom or something like that. Versus like my wife, she does a great job holding the line on like, hey, I'm in this thing for a partnership, not I do all the motherly roles.
Yeah.
In her opinion, it's like bullshit that like mothers are better nurturers than men. I think like mothers are better nurturers than men. But I also think the truth to that is like, yeah, I don't think there's always that effort put in from the male side of like being on their level and being intentional with doing stuff and making sure you're around in all of those moments. So that way, you're just part of their life.
Yeah. It's like kids are, I forget what the exact quote is, but it's like kids are the only people on this earth that like strive to have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Like of the 7 billion people in the world, only your kids are ones that are like all in on wanting to be a part of your life.
Yeah. I feel like it might, like Jordan Peterson might have a clip like,
yeah,
you're their number one relationship. Like all they want is a relationship with you.
Right.
Which is true. I said, and going off the video that you said, like, we're here for their memories. There's another video I saw that's like, they say that kids can't remember anything before 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they were talking about the gift is them being there for you and your own memories up until then, and embracing it. But all the dad shit, bro, it is the greatest thing in the fucking world. It does get hard at times. It very much does. But it's been so fun. I can't, knock on wood, trying to get more.
How do you feel about like technology and stuff when it comes to kids?
I don't know. You're saying like allowing them to do screen time or allowing them to use it?
Well, like one thing that I see a lot and it kind of pisses me off because I remember like growing up and stuff, like the parents will, like they'll be at, for example, when you go out to dinner and they just give their kid like an iPad or their phone or like a little play pad or whatever, and they're just locked in on this, and like you're just essentially like on a date with your wife or whatever. Like when I would grow up, like when we would go out to dinner, we would play hangman, or like we would get the coloring sheets, and my dad and I, or my parents and I we would color, or we would play paper football and like flick it and stuff. Like I hate when you go out to dinner, you just see little kids locked in on a device.
Yeah.
And like not having that like conversation and stuff like with your, like hanging out with your parents and stuff.
No, I agree. I mean, Rue, she can't play hangman right now.
Well, no, I'm just saying like,
flick football, but yeah, getting the coloring sheet. We like obviously like whether you're around friends, and sometimes you just learn things like you don't want to do, like as your partnership. Like some parents, they do we've known friends where they have their iPad, they have headphones, they're locked in and they're just obsessed with the screen or like playing the game, or they get fussy. So they just give them an iPad. Rue, we don't have her doing any, like, man, dude, for Rue, it's literally like Bluey or Miss Rachel. It'll be like a little before dinner and then maybe after dinner, depending on like how she is. Cause usually we try to get her to go outside. So that's when we can like throw the ball with Waffle. But I mean, Charles does a great job. Like when we're out and doing stuff, like Charles has been somebody from after doing the like maternity leave stuff, like not wanting to, being like intentional with like, hey, if I still want to go do these things out and about, like I'm just going to bring Rue, versus basing everything around Rue's schedule. It's like we have the structure around Rue, but bringing her to all that stuff, like when we brought her to Italy and everything else, like getting her in activities, like for socializing, like she does gymnastics, she does ballet. Obviously I dropped that sick highlight tape on ballet. What else does she do? She does swimming lessons. So she'll be busy like 3 out of the 5 days of the week. And then on weekends, it's like in the morning times, we'll always go out to eat, or we always do something, whether it's make breakfast and make her a part of it. But as far as like screen time and everything else, it's kind of like, it's one of those things that I feel like you figure out in your partnership with like how you want to raise them. Cause I do feel like Charles and I try to be very intentional about the things that we do with Rue, to where when we say we take her out to eat, like, yeah, she's not really. The only time we would have her look at a video on the phone, and she likes to watch herself, whether it's when she did trick or treating, that video was hot for a while, or I put the highlights of her of ballet. So that way we can do her hair. Mom can do her hair braided or whatever. You just play that in front of her. But yeah, as far as iPads, phones and stuff like that, we don't like, I guess, allow that. Or if we're on the plane and she's sitting in the middle seat, we have like a backpack with like, whether it's stickers, putting on the books and some interactive play things that she does. So it's not like I have like a strong stance. Like I think that's ridiculous. What do you got, JP? Is it my shorts?
No, I was just taking a photo.
Okay. You got like, oh, Will tweets from this spot. Anytime the phone goes up and JP's behind the phone, I'm like, oh fuck, what's about to happen? But it's not like I sit there, different strokes for different folks. Like I know every parent's trying, doing their best. But I know like we do try and think about screen time. Like we were around Bakhtiari and they have their little one. They're like, oh, we don't do any screen time. And so it makes me think in my head, like, oh, should we go from whatever screen time we do to 0? And I wonder why this, and you get caught up in comparing, which I think sucks. But no, the stuff that we do, it's not like, again, to answer your question. Yeah, we're not big proponents in all the screen time stuff. And if she does do it, we hope it's like Bluey has their like 10-minute episodes. Miss Rachel's like very interactive, like learning education.
It'll be way tougher when they're older. I think that's the tricky screen time.
Yeah, which it's kind of like, I don't necessarily know. I think it's just as you go, you try and learn and make the best decisions you can, because we grew up differently than everybody else, right? But at the same time, the world's ever evolving, and so is technology. So technology is going to be a part of their life. And so I feel like it's just like trying to be intentional about what styles of technology they're using, how they're using it, making sure they're not getting the things that they shouldn't be. Like you see the stuff Quiet on Set coming out, and about how, and just the predators out there and everything else going on, like being in their lives to where you're keeping them or trying to guard them or keep them from making bad decisions. But ultimately, I think it's like trying to instill like your core values and doing all this routine stuff, like really being intentional in their lives. And if they tell you something, being like, oh, I'm really glad you're talking to me about this, or encouraging conversation. So that way they feel like they can pick your brain and not feel like they have to hide stuff or have to do different things. It'll be interesting. And that makes me nervous. But I don't know.
Florida is trying to sign a bill, and maybe DeSantis did sign it, but it would be so hard to enforce. But I like the sentiment of it. But no social media for kids aged like under 15. It's like illegal, which I think would be super beneficial.
Yeah. There are a lot of like pros to that, and I would be interested to hearing like the arguments against it, because I'm sure there's like fair points. But with
in my head,
we know how we were when we were young, and if we had all this access and everything else, we would love it and be obsessed with it. But there'd be a lot of things that just wouldn't be good for us. I feel thinking about how I was back in the day, like just who knows what I would have been up to on social media that could have played against the places we are now. I have no clue, but yeah, it's all fascinating with that technology stuff, man.